AI content and music slop. This is definitely a concern amongst creatives out there, and as platforms like Suno and Udio get bigger and bigger, it's inevitable that these large corporations are gonna flood the marketplace simply to turn a profit, degrading the precious art of music creation that I've loved my entire life. Today I'm gonna be reacting to a video by Anthony Fantano speaking about the AI slop apocalypse. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video because you're gonna walk away with a ton of value, I promise you. Without further ado, let's get into it.
All right, hey everyone, it's Anthony Fantano, the internet's busiest music nerd. I don't mean to scare you in this video, but I actually do. I intend to freak you out a little bit. I want you going pee-pee in your diapers. Not out of a need or a desperation to further feed into the internet outrage economy. Lord knows there's enough of that already, and we all gotta do it sometimes, okay guys? We all gotta do it. No, this is like more vitally important because there's a storm coming that I need you guys to be prepared for. Whether that be like a literal preparedness that allows you to function through the oncoming AI apocalypse, the slopocalypse, the slopocalypse, the slopocalypse, the slopocalypse. Here's the thing, the main brains, the main maestros who we have covered on this channel, be it Suno or Udio, the guys who are really like at the forefront of all of this bullshit, terrible, trash, garbage AI music that you see just flooding the internet right now. These companies for a minute have been locked into a very vital lawsuit with the major labels because it was pretty fucking obvious these platforms were using major label music to train their AI programs and interfaces, and in some cases like spitting out carbon copy music of certain artists' works, or even just like, you know, their voices.
You know, that's one of the definite points of contention I have when it comes to using AI for the creation of music, is that it's trained off of copyrighted materials and the original creators aren't even getting some type of fee, some type of compensation, some type of back-end payment for the use of their original materials to create the new material. You know, if that was something that was happening, then you would see me jump at all this AI stuff, you know, head first when it comes to music production. But unfortunately, I have not seen that done. So it's almost like just like a legitimized form of theft, and just the use of certain creative words make things okay, which is, it's not okay with me. It's even been pointing out that certain producer tags have been included in some of the generated music that was happening when it comes to AI. So, you know, it's just straight up jacking. Understand, as producers, as music creatives, we have to go with the flow. We have to understand the tide that's shifting and everything like that, but it's tricky. It's real tricky. I don't think we should dive in head first. I think we should do things in a measured manner, understand what's happening and the ultimate impact it's going to have amongst everyone else. But let's go ahead and get back into the video.
That lawsuit has actually sort of ended recently in a settlement and what is essentially a licensing deal. Guys, this is not good. I stress, this is not good, because when you see the fine print and the articles and the coverage around this settlement, this whole agreement isn't to bring Suno and Udio to heel and put them in a position where they're, you know, going to be operating at a point of weakness. No, Suno, Udio, probably any other up-and-coming AI music generation platform, and the majors are going to start working together hand in hand. These platforms are going to be operating in a way now with major label support and permission, which means what we have been seeing so far is only going to get worse.
That gets me thinking, is there going to be some type of easier sample clearance process if producers are chopping up samples from something like Suno and it's essentially a culmination of multiple pieces of music from their catalog? Will that help producers in some way? You know, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. On top of that, this has me thinking about the creation of a type of counterculture that's going to go against this AI movement, because we're essentially compounding remixing. So it's like a remix on top of a remix on top of a remix. Like it's been said, these AI models are being created on what's already there, but there's also things that are not already there. So music producers, music creatives in general can start to create new sounds that are flat out not already already trained there. But if I know anything about large corporations, they're going to find a way to quickly grab onto those new waves and those new movements and mass produce them with their AI platforms. And also they have the capital to back it up to propagate it and push it to a lot of people at once, that smaller creatives, people who might make these like different movements and maybe different smaller cities or different communities around the world even, that, you know, that might not even be safe as well. But, you know, guys, we'll find a way out of no way. We'll make a way around the large corporations and we'll be able to maintain our creativity. But the question is, how are we going to go ahead and do that? I'm thinking more in-person experiences, you know, a type of customized concert type of thing. You know, I'm really looking at people like La Russell who have that grassroots feel, and I think that's going to be more spread across the music game as well. But let's go ahead and get back into the video.
Which means what we have been seeing so far is only going to get worse. I know that there has been a lot of super mediocre and terrible AI music coming out as of late, and I kind of theorize that part of the reason that is, that settlement, that agreement, the end to that lawsuit hadn't quite arrived yet. So Suno and Udio and similar platforms were afraid of having their platforms drop output that essentially sounded too much alike the music that was on these labels that they were getting sued by. But now that things have been settled, we are at a point where once Suno, Udio, and the major labels are just ready to let her fucking rip and allow these platforms and their users to just carbon copy, create as much major label artist music as they want, just to their heart's desire, it's going to be an absolute fucking bloodbath on the internet. Maybe bloodbath is the wrong word. I think like Mount St. Helens style disaster is maybe like more appropriate of a comparison here, because what you're likely going to experience on social media is going to be a lot like an ash cloud that not only makes it impossible to breathe and exist, but you won't even see your own hand in front of your face, because the tidal wave of AI slop you are going to be just absolutely bashed over the head with, no matter what corner you turn. It's going to be almost impossible to avoid. Like, let's say you're a really impassioned member of the Lady Gaga fandom, the Little Monsters. The major labels and the slop merchants that are going to be using these platforms, they're not going to be able to help themselves. Any metric by which you would keep track of your favorite artist's work and, you know, artistic trajectory is going to be flooded with morons just making one bullshit fake copy Lady Gaga song after another, and basically copy and paste for any other major top 40 artist that you can name.
You know, that's an interesting point that Anthony made there. That gets me thinking to the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. And at that same time, there were a lot of different fake versions of response songs that started to float around there on the internet. And for me, I wouldn't click on them unless it had the official stamp of approval from one of their YouTube pages or someone on their team. So if I saw something that I'm like, I don't think that's an official response, I wouldn't even click on it. I didn't want to hear something that was inauthentic, especially when it comes to a point that was this important to the culture. That being said, there may not be people out there who feel the same way. Some people just want to listen to something that sounds like their favorite recording artist and feels good, even if it's inauthentic, even if it's not really their voice. That's kind of difficult for me to comprehend because I want to hear the real thing. But there are, once again, people out there who don't care. If it sounds good and it's not really that person, then, you know, I'll still consume it. I don't like that idea, but once again, there are people who don't really care at all. And also gets me thinking about the shaping of taste, like I speak about here on my video. And that's really talking about, once again, the younger generation of new music consumers who are just going to listen to things just because they pop up on their Spotify feed or their YouTube feed and it sounds good. It's given me a lot to think about. It's definitely within the next 2 or 3 years, the landscape of music, the landscape of content, it's just going to be totally different. It's a bit scary, but at the same time, I'm optimistic we'll figure out a way. So,
and look, even if you're not somebody who listens to a whole lot of chart-topping music, this stuff is going to flood your feeds too. It's going to be in your face, day in, day fucking out. And it's going to be getting algorithmically pushed because, one, people are going to hate it. And the more hate that it gets, the more people are going to engage with it and the more the algorithm is going to throw it in your face. There's also, two, going to be morons who like it, which is also going to juice it as well. And number three, all the billionaires connected to this whole AI thing, which is just 5 fucking corporations in a trench coat. They too want it to be successful because they're all invested in it, which is another reason social media and big tech is going to continue shoving it down your throat. And if you think other mediums of entertainment don't also have this very same future coming around the corner, they very much do, because Disney as well just inked a similar deal with an AI generation platform, essentially greenlighting the idea that once they've figured out what the monetization process is going to be, their various intellectual properties, of which they own many, can be endlessly slopified so long as they're getting, you know, a bit of the residuals at the end of the day.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, this is going to impact other parts of the creative field other than just music itself. It's a total change in the marketplace. And one thing that I see sometimes, especially from recording artists and from producers, they sometimes, you know, a lot of you guys get down on yourself and feel like, you know, it's over. Now it's going to be impossible to make music. Now it's going to be impossible to make a career. And that's simply not true. There's always going to be a market, a section, a corner of people who value real, authentic music. You just have to find a way to creatively navigate through the landscape to get your music connected to real people. Sometimes that could just be going out there, doing local performances, collecting emails and following up with people. AI is not going to totally mess up your opportunity as a recording artist. You just have to figure out a way to find your niche within the marketplace, but it can be done. So let's get back into the video.
So guys, look, I don't come on here to be super doomer or super negative or like portray things as darker than they need to be. My intention here is not to upset you. And I'm not even coming on here to claim and say that like I have all the answers and I guarantee this is all going to happen and it's really bad and all we need to do is this to prevent it. I don't have that answer. I don't have that silver bullet. I am sorry. Even as me being Uncle Music himself, I don't know. I really don't know. All of this shit, unfortunately, is being forced upon me as well as you. And if there's any answer to any of this, we're just going to have to find a way communally to create hubs and spaces, safe spaces online where people are able to essentially weather this oncoming storm. Let's say like, you know, digitally speaking, AI fallout shelters where people with actually functioning non-stupid brains and people, you know, who aren't bots can culturally come together and convene and have actual discourse and share music and share ideas and share art, again, in an AI-free space where we're not being constantly inundated with Lady Gaga, Chappell Roan, Justin Bieber remixes where they sing the Charlie Kirk song. I mean, if you go on YouTube, the website you are on right now, there are already hour-long videos on here of just nothing but AI-generated Juice WRLD music, and people actually fucking listen to it.
Yeah, I'm glad he touched on that. You know, one thing I like to point out, like I mentioned before, is that, you know, the creation of a counterculture, the cultivation of a group of people who have a desire for real, authentic music, real experiences in person, you know, exchanging emails so we can stay in contact, maybe even buying physical CDs and maybe even cassettes and vinyl. Guys, I actually have CDs, cassettes, and vinyl. I actually still go to the record store myself. A lot of you guys don't, but you know, you can do that as opposed to only sampling on YouTube or, you know, online somehow. It's getting out there, seeing the different music, seeing the different artwork, interacting with people in the environment. And that's something that you really can't get from, you know, AI and just sitting on your computer and looking at your mobile device. Now, another thing he just touched on there was the whole Juice WRLD thing, man. It's just like now you have people monetizing this young man who unfortunately passed away for, unfortunately, their financial gain. I'm betting 9 times out of 10, those YouTube channels are actually monetized and you're using this person's voice, this person's likeness for your own economic enrichment. And, you know, it's It's definitely not good. I definitely feel a way about it. And I think it's going to get worse and more compounded as AI gets better and better, because not only is it going to be the music, it's also going to be videos, which is extremely strange to me personally to see the video in the likeness of a person who passed away right there on my mobile device, and it's in a new environment. It's just, my brain doesn't really know how to comprehend that. It's very weird to me, but like I mentioned earlier, if you're younger, that's the creation of what you perceive as normal. So you could see something like that and think it's just normal and it's okay. But, you know, let's see how the game changes. Let's see how things go. But let's get back into the video.
And again, if you think this shit is like inescapable now, it's going to get so much worse once the labels have figured out how they're going to get pennies or fractions of pennies off of every single time one of this, you know, AI slop pieces of shit based on their content gets streamed. Once they figure that out and they're basically A-okay with this happening, not only are they going to do everything they can in their power to push it, but for sure anybody willing to prompt this stuff all day and post it, they're going to catch a little bit of, like, you know, a fraction, a piece of the pie, which will incentivize enough idiots to make as much fucking AI Lil Peep music as they possibly can. Guys, again, this is not good. I feel like all the AI bullshit slop that we have been hating so much, and I know frankly a lot of you are tired of hearing about, we're just at the start of what this is going to be. And while personally I don't predict that this is going to, like, you know, destroy music and destroy the world forever and completely take over and you know, ruin life and mankind as we know it, I do think it is going to be a lot like, you know, a dark period and a storm that a lot of us are going to have to weather and figure out as many ways as we personally can in our own lives, shut it off, block it, ignore it, and just focus on things that are actually worth your time and worth your attention. Focus on real art, real creativity that actually moves us, because this is exactly what big corporations and the labels and rights holders have been wanting to do, dying to do, find out, like, the ultimate way to cut out the artist entirely and simplify their whole business model by just creating stuff that will grab people's attention out of thin air. And it's going to be on to us to not only foster communities and business models where people who are making actually good stuff, authentically good stuff, and making it themselves, create communities and spaces where those people can thrive.
Yeah, I recently heard on T.I.'s podcast, he mentioned he would like the companies to actually indicate that you're listening to AI music, like some type of AI chart or some type of separate AI category, so that way people understand what they're listening to is actually AI generated. Personally, I don't see something like that happening, just because that warning might throw people off from actually listening to the music. And I think the companies want us to consume as much of it as possible so they could turn a profit. Another point that Anthony made there was the cultivation of community and also a business model around that community for the recording artists. So, you know, definitely being around here in Atlanta for all these different years, I've definitely seen some very talented artists rise and, you know, become somewhat popular or become big songwriters or become bigger producers. But another thing I've seen is, you know, people who are very talented just kind of fizzle out, you know, because there's real life needs. Life happens, and then people need actual money to survive, to go day to day. And, you know, especially if you're at a point where you're responsible for other people, you have kids and a family, things like that, your passion can start to fizzle away and other priorities can come. So guys, if you are out there and you hear music that you actually enjoy, it's great to like the music. It's great to comment on the music. That definitely does help. It boosts the algorithm. But please look and search and see if there's some type of link for you to make a purchase. If you really like a song, go ahead and click that link to purchase. And, you know, that goes a long way for recording artists, and that keeps them going. As a matter of fact, I was in the studio a few months ago. A recording artist, you know, was doing a performance at the studio, and I loved his music. As a matter of fact, I just purchased his music right there on the spot, whole album, because I really liked the music. I didn't just follow him. I didn't just stream. I said, hey, let me buy your whole album right here, right now. And it went a long way. I saw the look in his eyes. He was definitely motivated. So guys, you know, it's definitely good to talk, but hit that buy button, let that transaction go off so people know that they can keep going. They can be able to take care of their families through this thing we call music. But let's go ahead and get back into this video.
But also do everything that we can to make sure that like most of our attention is not being stolen away by, you know, all of the AI slop bullshit that, you know, for sure is going to be wild and out there and attention grabbing. So attention grabbing, it's going to be hard to ignore all the time, but it is going to be a test of fortitude to actually focus on and seek out music and art that is worth our time. Just ignore the noise, push it to the side, and be good, capable stewards of artistry and creativity, and then reassess once, I don't know, all this bullshit is over and this bubble has popped and this nightmare is over. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
All right, guys. So what do you think? You know, I'm still optimistic on the power of human ingenuity, especially the smaller, quote unquote, the smaller guys able to be resourceful and to adapt and be flexible and still create and still get in contact with people who value real, authentic human creation. I'm optimistic. I think we'll find a way through the terrain, through the storm, and we'll come out victorious. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what's happening with AI. Do you support independent recording artists? Are you okay with the AI wave of music? As long as it sounds good, you're cool with it. Do you use AI in your music production and your songwriting and things of that nature? Please let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit like and subscribe. My name is Desmond A, and I'll be back with more great videos. Peace. Wait, before you go, make sure you go to DesmondASounds.com where you can get free FL Studio Patcher plugins, free loops, free guides, everything you need to level up your music production. Once again, go to DesmondASounds.com or click the link in the description. Go there now and totally transform your music production.